Every 16 minutes, someone dies of suicide in the United States. Every minute, someone attempts suicide. It is the fourth leading cause of death in adults 18 to 65, the third leading cause of death in teens and young adults, and the second in college-age students. Suicide is one of the most treatable mood disorders, with at least 80% responding positively to treatment. To bring awareness to the issue and remove the stigma of suicide, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is bringing suicide out of the darkness and into the light with an overnight 18-mile walk in Boston on June 26th. Joining me in the studio is Newton resident Susan Flint, who has walked and will be walking in memory of her late husband. Thank you for joining me, Susan. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now, when your husband, Scott, committed suicide in 1994, what went through your mind when it happened?
You know, he went through a 2-year period where it just, you know, he was roller coaster, he attempted, and then he was hospitalized and stuff. So that 2-year period was all about just trying to help him get better, and you kind of forget everything about yourself. So when it actually happened, the timing of it was really kind of shocking, but it didn't surprise me at all, just because each attempt was getting worse and worse. It was basically every 6 months he would make an attempt, and sometimes he was hospitalized and sometimes he wasn't. And I sort of, each attempt was more serious each time, and he was under care and seeing all sorts of doctors and on medications and stuff, so he was being watched, but that's just how much he really wanted to have it be done in his case. So when it actually happened, it was sort of shocked, but also shocked at the timing of it, but it was also not completely surprising that he succeeded one of these times.
Did you blame yourself for it happening?
That's an excellent question. A lot of people do blame themselves, and I can see where that is, but honestly, I really feel that I did everything that I possibly could, and I also am a firm believer that there's really nothing that can be said or not done where the person is going to really make a difference. They've made it up in their mind. They're in a frame of mind that is just, they just have it in their mind that they're going to do it no matter what, and they're thinking about nobody else. So I really, really believe that there's nothing anyone can say the wrong thing or the right thing or whatever. They should get help. I mean, that's definitely a huge thing, because it's very successful if you're seeking help and everything. But in this case, even though he was under the care, it just wasn't going to happen.
It didn't work.
Right.
What were the reactions from your family or friends? I mean, the stigma kind of is there.
Yes,
with a suicide.
And this was also 16 years ago, so it was even worse back then. I'll be honest, some family and friends had a hard time with it. They had a hard time now having to tell people that this happened to someone that they knew. And back then, this walk didn't happen, and that's really one of the main reasons why I do this walk is to stop that from happening. Like, let's talk about it, because once you do start talking about it, then people get the help that they need. And that was actually one of the problems with Scott, is that he didn't want anyone to know he was going through this. And that was really hard on me also, because I'm not that type of person. I'm really like, let's talk about it. Something's going on with me, I want to tell you about it. And he felt that stigma, he felt that shame, and he told very, very few people. And that was probably the most difficult thing, is not being able to. We told our family, and not even some of our immediate friends, but most people didn't know when he was going through it. So when they found out about it, they were completely shocked.
What were you doing, I guess, to help you cope after it happened, before you joined Out of the Darkness in 2003?
I had really great support of family and friends, and that was the bulk of it. I mean, I just, talked to them, and some people, I did meet a few people that went through something similar. So I really got a lot of great support from family and friends.
Which is extremely important.
Yes.
I mean, you need that support system.
Yep.
Especially after being 16 years ago, the stigma was much higher.
Yes.
Much harder impact on you, on your family.
And a lot of people didn't want to talk about it. It was a very uncomfortable subject, but I just happened to have a few, close family and friends that felt comfortable talking about it and helped me through it.
So how did you find out about Out of the Darkness?
I found out about Out of the Darkness. I happened to be crewing a 3-day walk for breast cancer, just as an experience. Luckily, I don't know anyone or don't have a close affiliation with breast cancer. But a friend of mine was walking and I was crewing, and the organizer of that 3-day walk for breast cancer was introducing a new walk called Out of the Darkness for suicide and depression, and I was all over it. I mean, it totally spoke to me, and I signed up right then and there. So,
and that was down in Washington, D.C.?
That was in Washington, D.C. I was crewing the 3-day walk for breast cancer in Washington, D.C. in 2002, I believe it was. And as soon as he announced it, I went right over to the booth and signed up right then and there. I knew it was something that I had to get involved with, and I've been doing it every year since.
What is it like for you to take that 18-mile journey? I mean, you meet a lot of people along the way, great support system, sharing stories, but what was your journey like?
Each walk is different. This will be my 6th one. Each walk is different. Some years I bring friends with me to walk, and other times I go alone, which is good too, because then you get to meet other people. But it's a really, really great way for people to just be all together in a similar situation. So either people are experience depression themselves or are survivors themselves. And out in the real world, it's really sort of still hard to talk about it, or people are uncomfortable about it, but in this environment, whoever you talk to along the route, they're comfortable talking about it, they want to talk about it, everyone shares their stories, and it's a very, very supportive environment.
In regards to fundraising, that must also be another way that you're bringing awareness about suicide and depression. I mean, you have to talk to people to ask for money, which is the whole point.
And this is why, it's not really for me about raising as much money as possible. It's about reaching as many people as I can. And so I always send out emails to basically everyone that I know. And every year I get 2 or 3 new people saying, I know somebody, or I'm going through it myself. And I sort of am their mentor as far as, helping that person, or at least, giving them a direction, or so unfortunately, every year I get new people, but fortunately, they're able to talk about it.
Right, they have a place to go. They have you
which
to
they
talk
may
with.
not have done before, or they didn't know about before.
What is it you hope to accomplish this year? I mean, this year it's in Boston, which is the first time.
Right.
So that's close to home for you.
And that's why I'm here, actually. Every year, the Out of the Darkness is great at giving you tools to spread the word, and they do give you suggestions to contact your local TV and news and everything. And I've always thought about doing it, but this year that it's in Boston, I thought I have to do it. Every year I've thought, who really is going to be interested that I'm doing a walk in Chicago? But now that it's here in Boston, it's going to reach so many more people, and people are already telling me they hear about commercials on the radio. And,
oh yes.
So the fact that it's here in Boston, that's why I wanted to get a little bit more involved and try to get the word out.
So what are you doing differently this year compared to previous years?
Well, I'm doing this, things like that. I have reached out to other media vehicles, and I've actually emailed a lot more people this year than ever because of Facebook. Basically, I've reconnected with a lot of new people over Facebook. So I've sent out like 400 emails this year, and usually it was like 150. So I hope to reach a lot more people this year.
Have you noticed since when you started Out of the Darkness to today that the stigma has been lifted some, or is it still
a little bit?
About
it's
the
still,
same?
it's still there. It's definitely still there, but I think it's definitely getting better every year.
What is it that people can do, perhaps, to understand suicide a little bit more? In your opinion, I know you're not a doctor or anything, but I mean,
to understand suicide, it's very hard for the person who doesn't think that way. I think there's just a switch in your brain that people either think that way or they don't. Just listen to any warning signs from anybody and just have them get help or talk about it. Yeah, and I think that's getting better and better. I think people are talking about it more and getting help more, and it's out in the world. It's being talked about a lot more than it ever has been.
Absolutely. And the walk is on Saturday, June 26th?
It starts Saturday night, June 26th, and goes through the night, and we finish at sunrise Sunday morning.
Bringing in Out of the Darkness and into the light.
Yep.
Great, Susan. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you coming in. And for more information about the Out of Darkness Overnight Walk, visit theovernight.org. Newt News will be right back.